Hey guys, Put here bringing you the last match from week number 6. This is between the Slakoths and the Torres Torkoals. So this is a really big match for both of these guys. If John wins, he guarantees a spot in the playoffs. If Sam loses the game, he goes to 2-4 and has a really hard chance of getting into the playoffs. He would need a lot of things to go his way in order to get there. But if he does win the game, then he puts himself in a pretty good position to control his own destiny. Anyways, let's jump to the battle screen. So I've got the camera down here in this bottom right corner because we're going to do some calcs, and the way the screen works is they pop up in the left there, as you can see, but we'll be looking at a few calcs for this game because I think some of them are important for this game. But I'm just going to go ahead because I've already recorded this video twice. I did it yesterday evening, but I used the wrong microphone. Then I did it last night, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had just played Little Cup for like 2 hours straight, and I was like super tired, and when I watched the video back, it was like so stupid. And it was just like 30 minutes long. So I was like, screw it, I'm doing it again. So here we are for the third time, I believe. So I pretty much know this battle back and forth. I know this thing inside and out. Let's look at the team. We got Galvantula, Mamoswine, Zapdos, Pyroar, Garchomp, Verizon Wireless, and then we got Clefable, Greninja, Hitmonchan, P2, Scizor, and Raikou. So first thing that caught my eye was the Galvantula. I was really glad to see John bring that because he has not brought it since week 2. And it worked out pretty well for him the first 2 weeks, and then he didn't bring it. He hasn't brought it any other games, so I thought maybe he just had wrote it off and wasn't going to do it again. But he did bring it for this game, and it's also really good against Samuel's team, especially against that Raikou and Greninja, because if he's able to get up webs and rocks, then the Garchomp, Pyroar, and Mamoswine pretty much win the game for him because he can. If he gets webs up and Samuel's not able to spin them away, those 3 mons pretty much destroy his team. So that's going to be a really big thing for the game. And so I really like him bringing the Galvantula. On Sam's side, he's got the Porygon too. I gotta say I like John because John did bring the Virizion. I think this is like the 3rd week in a row that he's brought it. The first 2 weeks I didn't really love the Virizion pick, just because I was like, I don't really see what it does in these games. In this one in particular, though, I think it is very good because it can hit Porygon 2 hard, and also with its sky high special defense, it can take hits from Porygon 2 pretty well, even with an analytic boost. So, anyways, let's just start this matchup. So we get my girl Clefable leading on this side, even though it's a male. So Magic Coat Clefable, I love it. He bounces the webs back. So I'm gonna pause it real quick. So I gotta give props to Samuel. Even though John hasn't brought webs since week number 2, he didn't just write it off and say, okay, he's not going to bring webs. He prepped for the webs still, and so that was a really good idea by him to still bring something to beat the webs. So he does bounce the webs back. Let's play it. So then John sets webs on next turn, which is the right play to do, as the Ice Beam does nothing. The one thing I can say, though, is that I don't like is that like, he has a way to bounce the webs back, but then after that, I feel like his prep for Clefable was like, okay, I'm going to bounce webs back against Galvantula, but then that's as far as it went. He didn't think about actually killing Galvantula. If he has Flamethrower, he easily 2-hit KOs, and he only has to eat 1 hit from Galvantula, especially if he's running, like, specially defensive Clefable. He can eat a hit from it pretty well. And then maybe he could even Flamethrower, then Wish, and then Flamethrower again. And I don't actually know how the damage works. That's pointless. But yeah, if he has Flamethrower, he can 2-hit Galvantula. But with Ice Beam, like, he can't. It's not working out. So that's the only thing I don't like about the Clefable set. He doesn't have a way to actually kill the Galvantula. So now he goes into his Hitmonchan here. His Hitmonchan gets rocked by this Thunder, 51%. This is also really, really bad because. So Hitmonchan can't stay in, because if he eats another Thunder, he dies. Unless that was just like a max roll. But even if he does spin the webs here, oh well. Galvantula just sets him on the next turn. Can just reset him. So switching this Hitmonchan here is pretty bad. I wish he was running a different set. He's running max HP, max attack, Life Orb. If he's running like Assault Vest, like he doesn't even have to run max special defense. If he just runs AV, he takes that Thunder pretty easily. I wouldn't mind max special defense, though, simply because with max HP, max special defense, Assault Vest, he can switch into Galvantula and spin webs pretty easy. Also, he always can switch into Pyroar and threaten him with a Mach Punch or a Drain Punch. And he can spin on him pretty easily too, because he can take hits from him no problem with an AV Max Spadef. Same thing for Zapdos. Like, he can't, if he runs Ice Punch, he can hit Zapdos hard. So if he runs like a Rapid Spin, Mach Punch, Drain Punch, Ice Punch, that would be a pretty solid set with Max HP, Max Spadef, Assault Vest. Of course, without the attack investment, he doesn't hit Zapdos too hard, but it still would probably 2-hit KO, especially if it's offensive Zapdos. It would 2-hit KO, but I'm not sure. Anyways, I don't really particularly like the offensive set, simply because the main thing he needs to make sure of that these webs are not on his side, because if he doesn't have webs on his side, he has a pretty easy win for this one. Especially, see, like, I feel like if he runs Assault Vest Hitmonchan with webs up, his Hitmonchan can actually outspeed a lot of the team, probably. I don't really know how the speed breaks down, but he could probably outspeed a lot of his team and then just Drain Punch his way to victory. Anyways, let's keep playing it. Like I said, I made this video 30 minutes last night, and it was just, I don't want to drag it on. So he goes into P2. Takes that Thunder easy, but he gets parried, which is bad. So the first few turns in is not going well for Samuel. So he gets a Toxic off, so he's going to wear down this Galvantula, and so this Galvantula is staying alive way too long and getting off way too much damage, more than it should. So this Ice Beam does bring him down in the Toxic range. So Galvantula sets the webs, does over 50% to Hitmonchan, does nearly 50% to P2, and paralyzes it. Pretty good start for John. Only bad thing is that webs are now on his side. So anyways, Mamoswine comes out, so I'm thinking, okay, Porygon T's probably going to switch here, fearing the knockoff. He doesn't want to get his Eviolite knocked off. John goes for the Stealth Rocks as he goes for the Recover. So I was sitting here, and I thought, whenever I seen John throw Stealth Rocks, I was like, that's actually a pretty good play. Because he probably thought that, Samuel, because my thing was like, okay, he's gonna want to go for the knockoff, but he's going to think Samuel's going to switch. So you know what, I'm just going to set Free Rocks instead and get double hazards up, because I can pretty much, Hitmonchan, like, can't really switch in and spin webs, or spin this stuff away because it's so low now. So that's a good time to set rocks. So I was like, hey, that's a good play. So I'm thinking, okay, now Samuel has to switch, fearing the knockoff. Because I seen rocks, so I'm like, okay, he's not Scarf, right? And he switches. I'm like, what in the world? I'm so confused at this point. Should have knocked off. So then he goes for Hidden Power Fighting. It does 28%. It goes for another one. I want to talk about this. This was what I had the calcs pulled up for. So Hidden Power is 60 base power. It's super effective against Porygon 2, so that boosted up to 120. But it actually does less damage than Thunderbolt, because Thunderbolt's not resisted, and it's base 90, and then it gets the same type attack bonus, which makes it 1.5 damage from 90. So you take half of 90, which is 45, and you add that 45 to 90, you get 135. So the base power for T-Bolt in this situation is 135, and for Hidden Power Fighting, it's 120. And I got the calc up here. So Samuel's running Max Spadef, Max HP, Porygon 2, and John was running Max Special Attack, Choice Specs Zapdos. Let me see this. Yeah, here we go. So Thunderbolt does about 3% more on average, which is not a lot, but it can be a big difference when dealing with Porygon 2, and we'll see it later possibly affect the battle as well. I don't like this Zapdos set. I wish he'd ran defensive, because it just walls Scizor, and it can even wall Hitmonchan pretty good, especially if it's like a bulky Hitmonchan. But in this situation, it's not. But so the Ice Beam does a ton because of analytic. So then out comes the Mamoswine. This is like, okay, now he's gonna knock off. Now he's gonna get rid of that Eviolite, and then he just goes for Earthquake. And I'm just thinking, what in the world? So at this point, I'm thinking he doesn't have it. He doesn't have knockoff. He's got to have Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Icicle Crash, and probably Ice Shard for some priority, right? So Toxic misses. So these Earthquakes are doing a lot. He has some pretty bad. Sanger has pretty bad luck with the paras. He gets parried a lot and misses a Toxic there. But every time where he would have died, he does break through the paralysis and gets a recover off. So I'm gonna pause it right here. So as we can see here, this Earthquake, he gets a middle roll. He would need like max roll, I think, here to kill P2, but he gets like medium roll. My jaw just popped. I don't know if you heard that. That hurt so bad. Holy cow. But anyways, he gets medium roll, drops it down to 3%. This brings me back to my Zapdos point, where if he gets that like 6% extra damage off on those two turns, Porygon 2 could have been dead here. Which of course we can't say that everything would have played out exactly the same, but could have forced P2 out at least. And I mean, look at Samuel's team here. Look at these 6. Where's his Earthquake switch in? He has no immunities. He has no resistances. Like literally, and he has no Earthquake switch ins. Like nothing. Okay, Mamoswine can win the game. Right? Mamoswine pretty much wins this game because he has no Earthquake switch in. So every time P2's out, Mamoswine, Earthquake. Especially if Eviolite's gone. But he does break through, gets to recover. As he keeps breaking through on the turns that he absolutely has to. So, as you see, the only time he gets parried is when he wouldn't die. If he got a max roll there, he would kill him. But he gets back-to-back low rolls. So that's another situation where like that 6% on Zapdos could have mattered from him clicking T-Bolt instead of hidden power fighting. So the Virizion comes in. Does the Virizion learn knockoff? I'm gonna look this up real quick. I have no idea. Okay, no, it doesn't. I didn't think it did. Okay. So let's keep playing here. I just want to make sure Virizion didn't learn knockoff and he doesn't knock off Virizion as well. Or knock off with Virizion. So Clefable comes in, it easily takes that close combat. So Samuel is going to fire off an Ice Beam here. Joe keeps doing weird stuff. It's popping. I don't like this Ice Beam play simply because he has no reason to Ice Beam. If he goes for Moonblast, it does more damage to Virizion. I mean, he's not going to switch into Garchomp anyways. Like, he has no reason to switch into Garchomp on Clefable, so there's no reason to predict a Garchomp switch and go for Ice Beam. If he switches into, he gets a free switch into Pyroar or Mamoswine on the Ice Beam, and Zapdos is low enough that it probably dies to Moonblast anyways, so there's really no reason not to go for Moonblast there, because that Ice Beam does nothing. I mean, look how much his Earthquake does. This is what I was talking about. I'm pretty sure, I know it's going to sound crazy, but I'm pretty sure he's running Choice Scarf Mamoswine with Stealth Rocks. I don't know why. I don't even think Stealth Rocks on Scarf Mamoswine is even that bad. I mean, the only thing is you have to set rocks and then switch. But I mean, if you can create the situation where you set rocks and then can switch out, like you switch in a Raikou or something, like Raikou's not gonna stay in on Mamoswine, fearing that it's, especially if it's Scarf, you know, to switch. You set rocks, then you can switch into something else, something like that. I don't know, but so I don't really hate rocks on Scarf Mamoswine, if that's what this is, and I'm pretty sure it is because he never switches moves on this Mamoswine. So I'm pretty sure it's Scarfed, but Scarf Mamoswine is actually so good against Samuel's team. Because look how much it just did at Clefable. Like, Clefable is defensive and it can't switch into Mamoswine. So this is where I wish he would have gone for Moonblast, because if he goes for 2 Moonblast, Mamoswine ends up right here, about 20%. Which it doesn't matter in this game in particular, but because he's going to go in his Hitmonchan. Now, I say it doesn't matter because if he was running a different Hitmonchan set, it might have mattered. I don't really know. If he's running like bulky Hitmonchan, that extra damage could have mattered. Because he's going to go for the Mach Punch here and kill. But I don't really know if the attack and Life Orb boost is the reason it killed, or if that would have just killed regardless. It probably does help a lot, though. So this resisted, but he's like just going to get chip damage off anyways. Might as well. Honestly, I honestly would have wished he'd have switched into Raikou there. Especially if Raikou, Zapdos could be, no, Zapdos isn't running Hidden Power Ground. We know that because we've seen Hidden Power Fighting. So Raikou freely switches in, and then can do, like, set up Calm Mind. Yeah, you can just set up Calm Minds. You go Raikou and just set up Calm Minds all over Zapdos. He can't touch him. And then he pretty much wins the game. Because you outspeed the rest of his, team. And if he has HP Ice, he can hit Garchomp and Virizion, and the other two are neutral. So yeah, if he goes Raikou on that T-Ball, he can just free Calm Mind, I'm pretty sure. But he does let it die. The reason I wish he would have saved it is simply because it can still switch back into rocks. It has plenty of HP to switch into rocks. And also, if this Pyroar does end up pretty low at some point, he could come in and revenge kill it with a Mach Punch. But anyways, So he brings out the Scizor. This play scared me here because I was like, man, I don't know how much it's going to do, but it does do enough, even resisted. You know, I'm going to run this calc real quick, actually. Let's do this Scizor. I think this is banded. Zapdos. So I know Zapdos is not running any. I think Zapdos is max speed, max special attack, specs, timid, do no defense. Let's take leftovers off. So we know he's not Life Orb, right? Yeah, he's not Life Orb. So yeah, he has to be banded because if he's not banded, that doesn't kill. So that's what scared me at first. Oh wait, no, that doesn't have Technician boost. I don't know. Yeah, it probably does. There's so many abilities. There we go. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Take that back. It doesn't have to be banded. Technician boosted Bullet Punch still kills from that point. If he's running the defensive set like that I like to run on Zapdos all the time, it easily lives that from that range. No, I take that back. If he's freaking choice band, he don't live from that range either. Holy cow. Nope. Alright, so that was a pretty safe play for Samuel either way. Especially if he is choice banded, he always OHKOs Zapdos at that range. So yeah, I like that play. It scared me at first because I thought, oh man, if this is not choice banded, he might be able to live that. And then kill him with a Heat Wave, but he does do plenty. So out comes the Pyroar here. So I like this play that John makes. He just goes for the Hyper Voice, simply because Samuel's not going to stay in on the Scizor. So he can, because like his only normal resist is Scizor. So he's not going to stay in a Scizor, but he doesn't want to go for a Flamethrower and let him switch into Greninja or something. So he just goes for the Hyper Voice. Nice middle ground play. I like it. He goes for the Flamethrower here. It doesn't really matter. I guess maybe he went for the Flamethrower just in case Samuel, maybe Samuel thought, hey, this might be Scarfed or Specs Pyroar. I can now switch in because he went for Hyper Voice. So he goes for Flamethrower just in case he maybe wanted to make that play. But then he goes for Hidden Power. I have no idea what Hidden Power this is, but that it does nothing. So that doesn't make any sense. You just click those other two moves. And this Porygon 2 got really low. I want to make a point about that later, but we'll see it later. Out comes a Virizion. So he's going to go into Scizor to catch this close combat. I think his Clefable go down kind of sucked, but it's really not that big of a deal. Really, he kind of had to because he had no switch into Mamoswine, honestly. So he pretty much had to let him go down there. Oh yeah, this is the play I want to make. So I'm pretty sure that's banned because that knockoff did so much. But he does knock off the Expert Belt Pyroar. I really hate Expert Belt Pyroar, especially in this situation. Simply because the only Mon on Samuel's team he hits super effective is Scizor. And Flamethrower is going to kill Scizor every single time regardless. Even if it's like AV bulky Scizor, it's still going to one-hit KO. Like the only reason I could think if he's running like Hidden Power Ground and he's got like he does enough damage to kill, or like I don't know, he does a certain percentage after Stealth Rocks, or I don't know, some weird calc like that. But I don't really see the point because Raikou's only been brought like once all year, so I don't see why he'd be calcing for something so specific like that. So yeah, I don't like Expert Belt in this situation. If he has Life Orb, the time that Porygon 2 switched in early and caught that Hyper Voice, it wouldn't have been able to catch 2 with the Life Orb. So I wish he was running Life Orb instead because he would have killed Porygon 2 and this thing would have been out of his life. I feel like he's had so many scenarios where he could have killed or it like knocked off the Porygon 2, then killed it, or killed it if he would have used the right moves. This Porygon 2 is just destroying his team simply because he doesn't have anything to do with it. So I think this is kind of a bad part of his prep where he doesn't prep for Porygon 2's Eviolite at all. And I mean, he did prep by bringing Virizion, which does good against Porygon 2, but he can't. If he doesn't knock off the Eviolite, it's still not a great matchup for Virizion. So he goes into the Virizion. It takes the Ice Beam pretty well. He's got really nice special defense. So he's going to fire off the close combat. It only does 50%. Like, that's just how bulky Porygon 2 is, which Virizion special, physical attacks only like base 90. So it's not even that great. But as you can see, like, if Porygon 2 gets a Toxic, he can pretty much recover stall. Virizion, like, he has to knock off the Eviolite. He has to knock it off. And he could have done it with Mamoswine, but it's okay. Garchomp comes out and outrages here. If this is Scarf Chomp, he actually wins the game, because Scarf Chomp would have outsped this Greninja and killed him. Unless, no, never mind. It does kill Greninja at this point. I was gonna say unless it's Sash, but he has Rock, so it's obvious. So if he Scarf Chomp there, but like I said, I'm pretty sure he scarfed Mamoswine, which Scarf Mamoswine was really good in this game as well. But he just didn't use it correctly. He needs knockoff over Rocks. And I wish he'd have brought knockoff over Rocks, and then maybe brought Regirock, and instead of, like, I don't know what he could have done. But if he has Scarf Chomp here, he wins the game, because he kills that thing. If Greninja comes in, he outrages and kills it. And then even if he gets confused, he just switches into Pyroar and sacks it against Raikou. Then he goes back into Garchomp, clicks Outrage again, because Outrage is like it's like an 88 to like 100% damage to Raikou. So after Sticky Web, after Stealth Rocks, it's 100% KO. Or no, I take that back. I ran the calc earlier. If it's Max Attack, I think if it's Max Attack, oh man, I can't remember if it was Adamant or Jolly Garchomp. But after Stealth Rocks, it has an 81% chance to OHKO Raikou with Outrage. So pretty good chance. But he doesn't have it. Greninja just revenge kills the last two. Well, doesn't really revenge. He revenge kills Garchomp, then finishes off the Pyroar and picks up the 2-0 W. Both teams are now 3-3. Both teams, neither team controls their own destiny technically. No, that's yeah. Neither of them still control their own destiny, because if both of them win next week, and Colton wins, then one of those three will be left out. So they essentially do, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. If Colton does lose, then both of these guys control their own destiny, because then there would only be a maximum of 3 4-3 teams. So they're still both in a pretty good spot. So all those, me and Caleb both control our own destiny, and then the other 3 3-3 teams, as long as one of them loses, then they control their own destiny. So yeah, good game from these guys. I would have liked to seen Samuel have a way to deal with Galvantula after bouncing webs. I would have liked to seen John not run Stealth Rock, Scarfed. Actually, I don't even care the Stealth Rocks. I just want a knockoff. Like, as long as he has knockoff, he's fine. Honestly, if he's running webs, I would just ran like max speed Life Orb Mamoswine. Because just look at Samuel's team. Like, if he doesn't bounce, if Samuel doesn't bounce those webs back or something, and he gets webs up, because I know John didn't plan for that. So if he's planning to get webs up, and then he has like max speed Mamoswine probably outspeeds everything under webs, on Samuel's team, and then Life Orb Earthquake just destroys that team. Holy cow! But yeah, he doesn't have it. But yeah, he needed knockoff. That's the main thing to take away from this game, is that Porygon 2 did not get its Eviolite knockoff. It stayed alive way too long. Samuel shouldn't have kept it in on the Mamoswine, fearing the knockoff, but he just left it in, and John didn't knock off, so it was really confusing, like, for me. But yeah, he needs a knockoff. Gets rid of the Eviolite. This game probably turns out different, because Porygon 2 couldn't just completely wall everything, like, especially that Mamoswine. Like, if he gets rid of Porygon 2, Scarf Mamoswine can just destroy this team, and that's what he needed to do, but he wasn't able to do it. So yeah, anyways, that was a pretty good game. It was it had a lot of weird things going on there, but yeah, double webs on both sides is something you like never see. That's the last game for week number 6. Week number 7 is going to be huge. Every single game matters. Literally every single game can change the outcome of what playoffs is. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Peace.